Hello, everyone. We are happy to be here to be with you. So today we will talk about generating tangible ROI from intranet, the best use cases, insights, lessons learned, and story of success. Let's begin with today's companies who will present. So we'll start with Linkers. Linkers has more than 17 years of experience working with intranets, workplace platforms, and gamification. We have like more than $180 million ROI for different customers. We have more than 15 years experience in gamification, employee recognition, and other solutions for our customers. We have a lot of large customers and companies who work with us for more than like 9 years, one of our the longest term customers. And our main motto is everything intranet, strong partnership, tech experience, customer obsession, and can do attitude. Whatever you want, we can do this. Just tell us and we'll work to do it. Also, our partner is a great company, Xero, like they have their own solution, own platform, and hundreds of companies and millions of people. As you can see, more than 6 million of customers in people numbers already chosen them to work. They have a lot of stories to tell, and later we'll tell more about them and they will tell more about themselves. So now we'll switch to our speakers. Today we'll have Anna Kravitz. She's the CEO of Linkers, and she will tell you ROI 101, understanding the basics, how to work with your intranet, and also the story of success, how to win the best intranet award with good and quality ROI. Also, Adam Alwhite, CEO of Xero, he will tell about their use cases, success stories, and solution they suggest. So also, I want to tell that stay tuned, be proactive, ask questions in comments in LinkedIn, and you will get a gift. 1 hour session of consulting for your internet to help you maximize ROI, having your use case as unique and working with your people. So let's begin. Anna, word to you.
Yeah, I will start sharing my screen because I will do a lot of demos and live demos today. Meanwhile, let's start with ROI. I'm sorry, you preview all my presentation. Here. So before we start, I want to say that I decided to theme this presentation in Olympic spirit because I think that it's a lot of common themes between Olympians and intranet community managers. First of all, it's a dedicated hard work which we need to do every day, and probably like in 4 years you'll get recognized. Of course, this is a joke. Today we will show you how to get recognized for your achievements and for a value-bringing ROI generating intranet much faster. First of all, let's discuss why should we pay so much attention to ROIs and what are actual problems and hurdles of elite athletes in intranet sphere of you, our guest today. I believe it all comes down to three components: money, power, and people. By money, I mean that we all know that internet budgets are not the largest ones in the companies. And unfortunately, internet development teams, the teams behind digital workplace platforms, they're not usually overstaffed, but rather understaffed. So you all are like jacks of multiple trades. And all of this, of course, is not the pleasant work experience. And obviously, everybody would agree that compensations could have been higher. Speaking in terms of power, struggles of internet managers and community managers, it's first of all, of course, user adoption and engagement, and for a good reason, because we will be talking about it today. Without proper adoption, there won't be ROIs. It's a prerequisite of any internet success. Not every community manager or internet manager is blessed with executive recognition and support from the top tier, from CEO, for instance. But we all know at the same time that CEO support is at the same time a prerequisite of success. So here is also a bit of a conflict usually in internet teams. And it's always hard to measure impact of some intangible things, and that's like better collaboration, better search, or a better employee experience. How do you do this? So today we specifically dedicate time for exact formulas and exact cases, how we usually prove ROIs for our customers, which win Internet Awards globally. So you will be inspired by this. And coming down to people, because of course we work with people, and people are our major, basically major customers of intranets and digital workplace solutions. We always come to resistance to change for new tools, new services implemented in intranets, or maybe some people still prefer emails, or Teams or Slack, whatever. Poor communication between teams, and of course, my favorite topic is internal politics. All of these challenges are less less dangerous if you can prove to your teams and to your organizations real ROIs internet generating. It's much faster and easier to defend budgets, and probably even to increase your own compensation if you prove value to the organization in real dollars. Here, for example, some numbers of the companies whose cases we will be reviewing today. For instance, Vodafone and Raiffeisen Bank. It's their annual ROIs, and the organizations are not the largest ones. It's like 4K employees, 9K employees. So you can imagine how much more it could be for a larger organization. Like for instance, 16 million savings annually can be an ROI for reducing employee turnover for a 10K employee organization. So before we start, let's visualize our goal. And I believe it's a real picture when we learn and how to how to measure ROI correctly, how to impact ROIs. We believe that your budgets will be much higher, and you will be able to implement the best, most inspiring projects with the internet and provide even more impact to organizations. But before we dig to real ROI topics, I would love to discuss my approach, like for the last 17 years of working with internet, how we usually calculate ROIs. This is a funny meme we created for promoting this webinar, but it has some parts of truth. So some organizations just literally use some like random numbers they find in internet for as a benchmarks from other companies, which are not always verified. For instance, of course, Google and ChatGPT now can be very handy in creating something, but we suggest to ask Linkers and Xero today and dig into real cases and real formulas, real approaches, how to do it. So speaking about approaches, I believe in two directions. So one direction is inspired by analytical companies like Gartner, Forrester, which provide ROI calculations for multiple different systems, not only intranets. And they usually have this methodology with having like calculating how much money company saves based on the reduced time for searching information, for locating knowledge, for reducing employee turnover. All of these are valid calculations. But to tell you the truth, with one of our customers in telecom, we had a funny conversation when he said, okay, if we calculate it this way with our cost per hour, then we just need to stop working in our in our business domain and just start doing intranet, and we will earn a lot of money because the organization is large. And if you calculate like 16 millions on reducing employee turnover, then it's a good business result. But of course, it's not totally like this, because organization needs to work on their primary strategic goals, need to generate cash flow, and in this case, they will be able to save money or reduce some operational expenses. So that's why there's a second approach, which we usually combine with the first one when we calculate ROIs. And I call it use case based approach, when we have exact business process, which we monitor and calculate company gains or reduction of expenses specifically in this business process. In this case, it's more feasible, it's more easy to believe for executive teams to invest in this kind of project. But for instance, when we implement, when we create applications for our projects for our customers to some international awards, or when we defend budgets, we usually combine both of these approaches in ROI calculations. And before we go to these exact use cases and exact formulas, I also want to highlight one more time that it's very important to ensure decent internet adoption before doing any ROIs. Because even with use case approach, it's all economy of scale. The more people are using the tool, the more impact the tool has within organization in terms of influencing strategic priorities of the company, promoting change, digital transformation, etc., and also achieving specific local goals on, for instance, increasing sales, reducing costs of onboarding, etc. So decent internet adoption, ideally more than 50% of your organization should use internet, is a must to achieve ROI. How do you do it? Of course, that's actually the hard work part, which I mentioned in the beginning. This is the thing which takes most of your time as internet manager, internet lead. First of all, it's encouraging contribution. It's an internal sales process within all the departments. It's visualizing and recognizing contributors which already participate in intranet, contribute to knowledge base, post questions, act as brand advocates, or for your intranet within organization, educate the newcoming colleagues or other colleagues to use internet instead of, for instance, email. For all of these people, they deserve recognition, and we highly encourage you to use recognition and gamification tools within intranet to promote this user engagement. A lot of internet platforms, and maybe Adam will talk about it as well, have some embedded gamification capabilities for encouraging people to contribute. So this is also helpful, and that's why, for instance, Linker's team invested in creating product for employee recognition on top of internet platforms like Microsoft 365 or Google suite-based intranets like Lumaps, etc. Because we do believe that internet adoption and recognition of your contributors is very, very important. Now let's go to the real life ROI examples. I will start with 3 of them as low-hanging fruits, which I suggest you to start with. And this is speaking about use case to business process based approach to ROIs, when we have a specific use case and we measure its impact on organization. And this use case is implemented with the help of intranet or driven with intranet. The best departments where to start with are money generating departments of organizations, which is sales department, marketing department, or for instance, customer service, if they also do sales. So if we start with sales department, it can be a business process of sales motivational program. All the sales department, like every organization we've worked with, has some kind of motivational program for their salespeople. Salespeople are very competitive. They're creative. They like to participate in these kinds of initiatives. Usually, they are running uh, even in Excel spreadsheets sometimes, but sometimes in separate systems, like like during a year, 1 year, and etc. What if we bring these kind of recognition programs within intranet uh, to promote these people to, for instance, to make to the whole organization, to make the best salespeople visible to executive team, to CEO, to promote them in their user profile in employee directory. So this should be very interesting to sales department people who run this motivational program, and at the same time for you as intranet leader, it's a good source of proving intranet ROIs, because it's pretty easy to calculate, even compared to the previous quarter or the previous year, how much more sales are done by the team which utilizes your solution within the intranet. A lot of case studies are available. For instance, one of the case studies shown here show calculated like almost $700,000 per year gain in implementing their sales recognition and sales motivational program. Another low-hanging fruit is promoting some strategically important projects for a company. For instance, if your company through intranet and increasing adoption to these projects with the help of intranet. Let's take an example of one of our customers who implemented very expensive CRM system. It was Salesforce, I believe. So they invested a lot of time, a lot of money in implementation of this CRM, but to prove ROI of the CRM, you also need people. You also need to improve adoption of this, to sell it internally within sales department, within marketing departments, maybe customer support as well, to make it work through the whole organizations and not just adopted by one department. For all of these reasons, intranet is a very useful place to do this. You can create an intranet-based knowledge base about this system. You can run trainings there. You can create gamified program, for instance, for increasing adoption to this system by giving badges for people who share knowledge or use cases of using this CRM, or who train other people for the CRM, but you will highlight them in a leaderboard within intranet. So intranet may be a great platform for promoting other IT platforms of organizations like CRM, ERP systems, like billing system, which are always priority one for companies, and at the same time increasing their ROI will prove intranet's ROI as well. Third low-hanging fruit, which I suggest to start, is recruitment, talent retention programs, which you can implement with intranet. For instance, I will show a bit later a live example how you can increase recruitment of company, how you can basically save on recruitment by crowd recruitment platform like referral recruitment program, which you can implement in intranet. And it's also very easy to calculate the gain. You just have the cost of hire, and compared to the cost of hiring within organizations through friends of the colleagues, or other referrals from the colleagues, which works within intranet system. So how this actually works in a real case, I will show you. a demo of this is an example of intranet for a fictitious company which is called Cabling, which is a manufacturer of cables, as you can see. But all the use cases are inspired by our real customers and their real cases. So, for instance, sales related ROI use case. Imagine a sales team who's struggling to, like this cabling team, struggling to sell a specific type of cables online within their newly opened retail website. Uh, so they look for some solutions and brainstorm how they can increase these sales. What if this kind of brainstorming can be run in intranet? For instance, and it can be very fun, organized in a fun way. For instance, in a real case for a customer, they ran this ideation. It was e-commerce site, and they ran ideation on increasing sales for their home products. And they, for the winner of this ideation, they promised a bucket of sweets. And as a result, in the intranet, they opened a specific space where they, for 2 weeks specifically, they gathered ideas from everybody and announced the winner. And the winner was one of the persons who worked in the stores. And the idea was very simple and genius. He just suggested to highlight this specific. So basically, the site of the company was all black, and the icons in global navigations were white. So one of the icons was this specific category of goods they wanted to promote. The guy from the store just suggested to highlight this icon in different color, maybe do some additional arrows in the navigation. And this worked actually. They implemented this idea, and later, this every month, they highlighted different category to promote these products. So the company gained much money in sales, much more money in sales for this very simple idea to implement. And the winner got a bucket of sweets and hopefully a promotion as well. This is one of the real cases of ROI. Another great case is employee onboarding. For instance, if you take an onboarding process within a sales team or a customer support team, it's very easy to calculate company gains. For instance, for a salesperson, if a salesperson starts to after joining the company, starts to produce the expected amount of sales within a month instead of 2 months or 3 months, then you increased company revenues by this, by his sales plan multiplied by the delta of months he onboarded to the company. And you can gamify this solution as well. For instance, in this case, also inspired by our real customer, they gamified their onboarding program as a Star Wars. So the people who were joining the company were called Padawans, and the people who already worked in the company and were acting as their mentors, they were called Jedis. So within this recognition and gamification for onboarding, for instance, people who joined the company received a badge when they passed a welcome training in their learning management system, received a badge when they successfully passed onboarding period. Mentors or JDs were also recognized as by a peer-to-peer recognition by the Padawans, etc. So another great example of ROI generating use case. Crowd recruiting, also maybe done as fun, for instance, as friends. So when you bring your friend to refer your friend to recruiters, you receive, like let's example, 10 points. When this friend is getting hired, you receive 100 points. And when they cover their onboarding period successfully and a part of the team already, you receive 1,000 points, for instance. So this is also a program which can be implemented in intranet and bring real ROIs to the company. Now, as I have 5 minutes left, I want to show you our award-winning cases with our real customers, Vodafone and Raiffeisen Bank, and how and actual formulas by which we calculate ROIs. So before I switch to the formulas, here's the customer teams, which I'm talking about. It's actually people who ran the intranet and are running the intranet and who received the awards. I call this award an Oscar in Internet world. It's called Internet and Digital Workplace Awards by Step 2. It's actually Australian award, but it's run for the last 17 years. And so far, the winners have been from 20 countries, representing different industries, including giants like IBM, Microsoft, SAP, Adobe, Pandora, Philips. These are all the winners of these awards throughout the year. So, and I will share with you some treasure content right now, real award-winning applications of the companies where we calculated ROIs. So I will increase this. This is a part of application. I will just make it larger right now, but for you to understand. So this is a real, it was a Word document with a form of this application provided by Step 2, where they ask how much money was saved, what is the impact for organization. So here we use this both approaches. First approach is to calculate through, as I said, a conventional approach, Gartner, Forrester inspired one, when you basically take, for instance, a number of internet adoption numbers, how much employees company have, how much internet adoption company has, so you can calculate percentage of people who are actually using this internet solution. Then you have a rate of an employee on average, and then you calculate amount of hours saved on specific operations like searching, less times for meetings, or maybe some less times for searching colleagues within employee directory, etc. So with this approach, it's feasible as well. You can show it for the customers. For instance, here we specifically also calculate amount of hours saved on searching your colleagues in employee directory, because this was number one feature used in the intranet. Speaking about another customer, Vodafone, who also won this award, we also have shown not only these kinds of calculations, but also some use case-based ROIs. For instance, one of the use case was a technical director searching to close vacancies internally within organization. And these were pretty expensive vacancies. If you look for externally in the market and hire recruiters, these are leaders of departments. So the people whose salary is pretty high, so the hiring cost is pretty high as well. If you close these vacancies internally within intranet, then it's a great saving. Another case which the marketing director used, he started a crowdsourcing campaign within intranet asking for people to share photos of spoiled branding around the country. So in this way, they saved some money on dedicating a specific team or outsourcing this process to monitor. So people inside company were monitoring as a spoiled brand advertisement to fix it later. So this kind of great use case was with call center guys when they created a place in intranet where they helped each other to find substitutes. So, for instance, one call center agent couldn't work this day, so he announced that this spot is free, and other call center agent could volunteer as a substitute. With this kind of business process, which ran for years in the internet, they actually reduced the percent of uncovered incoming calls for the company It was really easy to measure in their case. So these are examples of real ROIs, how we calculate them, and how you can win an international award with an ROI. So word to Adam now. Thanks for attention.
All right, let me see if I can share my screen here.
If you can't, you will see your screen now.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks, Anna, for taking us through that. So I guess, but before I dive in, I do want to chat a little bit more about ROI in intranets, but just as a little bit of an overview on Xero. So we've been in business about 15 years now. Our bread and butter is intranet software, so helping organizations build really modern social intranets. We have a laser focus on making sure that there's ROI really quickly out of the gate for all of the intranets that we help organizations implement. And I think Anna touched on it a little bit. There's one I think prerequisite to ROI, and that's adoption. And so that's usually where we turn our attention first in terms of how we measure ROI and ensure that our customers are getting it. Without adoption, nothing else we talk about really matters. And adoption is one of the biggest challenges facing intranets today. I mean, when customers come to Xero and say, "Hey, we're looking to put in place a more modern intranet," and we start asking them, "Well, what are the issues with your current intranet?" Usually, people have something in place. What are the issues? Oh, well, it's old, it's stale, it's chaotic, nobody uses it. And usually, we hear anywhere from about 10 to 15% adoption on average is a decent benchmark for an old intranet. Yeah, people know where it is. They might check it out every once in a while, but people are not logging in every day to get the information they need there. They're finding it elsewhere, or they're not finding it at all. So with Xero, what we try and benchmark against is 75% plus user adoption within a few months post-implementation. And that's actually the average we see across all customers who use Xero as their intranet, about 75% average user adoption. So if you can get above that 75% point, that's where we start to see things snowball. Okay, you've done something right. Maybe you've used gamification or recognition, some of the features that Anna was touching on. You've brought people in, you've given them a reason to come back. Well, now how are we going to actually, make sure that it's valuable time they're spending on the intranet, and B, show that to the organization there is ROI in this investment. And so with Xero, we really see three key value drivers across the value that intranets can provide. The first, which I'm going to chat about here, is knowledge management. The second, employee engagement and collaboration. And then the third, internal communications. There's probably a lot of different ways you could slice and cut and dice that, but those are the three general use cases that we look at. A lot of customers come to us and they're really focused on just one. Hey, we're trying to solve a knowledge management problem. That's where we think the most value is. Some come with two or three that they're trying to focus on at the same time, but you need at least one of those three, I think, in order to make a justifiable investment in a platform like Xero or any intranet software that you might be leaning on. So knowledge management, it's the first one here because I think it's one of the strongest in terms of really showing value. And I think if you look at the first stat that's on here in pink, employees lose nearly 8 hours a week searching for information. Now, maybe that's an exaggeration or an overgeneralization. It's different in every organization. We encourage folks to launch a survey even before they start implementing Xero, and just ask your employees, your users, hey, how many hours a week, how many minutes a day do you think you spend searching for information? The truth is, with 8 hours a week loss on average, whatever they answer is going to be more than enough if you can improve it to justify the cost of intranet software. And so I've seen everything from, maybe you spend half an hour a day searching for things, 20 minutes a day searching for things. Those numbers are not that hard to believe. But when you take them out to organizations with 1,000 users, 5,000 users, 10,000 users, 50,000 users or employees, well, 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day times 50,000 users, you get to some pretty big numbers when it comes to the value that your organization is leaving on the table there. If you can speed that up by just a minute or two per employee, most of these intranet software investments that you would be making would pay for themselves. I think 3 times over is an easy estimate there, 10 times over, 100 times over. And so for me, and we'll talk about the other use cases as well, but for me, I call that in green the sort of what you need to believe for an intranet. At a bare minimum, if you think that you can improve the amount of time the average employee spends searching for information by a minute or two a day, it's really not that hard to believe. Most of these platforms will pay for themselves if that's the case. And we have an ROI calculator where you can type in these exact assumptions. If you go to our website, xerosolutions.com, you'll find your way to the ROI calculator. If you don't, reach out to us and we're happy to help. But you can plug in things like, well, how many minutes a day do you think your employees spend searching for information? Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. What is the average cost of an employee per year? How much do you think we can improve it? By a minute or two, by 3 minutes, by 4 minutes? And you plug in those numbers and we'll do the calculation on our end and spit back a business case of, well, if you can believe that, you can certainly justify the cost of the platform. And so I think if you're starting your ROI business case building anywhere, think long and hard about whether you can make a case for knowledge management, because as we go through the others, I do think there's value there, but it's more of a mountain trying to convince people of the true hard value for internal communications, for example. I think knowledge management is a lot easier for folks to wrap their mind around. Everyone knows employees spend time or waste time searching for information. So it's just a matter of how much you think you can improve it, and figuring out, well, then it makes sense to invest in the software, hire a team, whatever it might be. I'll just talk about a customer example here. So we work with a bank here in the U.S. Thousands of employees in traditional bank branches who are doing everything from cashing checks to helping people with their transactions, advisory services. They have over 500 policies and procedures that the average employee needs to know in order to operate on a day-to-day basis. So everything from, how do I cash an international check? How do I, do a transaction in a different currency? There's a policy for each and everything, especially in a financial institution with a lot of regulations. It's important to have everything well documented. And when employees start, they go through a training program. They have to learn these policies, and maybe they know them, but you go back and you talk to even the best employee, the absolute best branch employee, who is the Ask Jeeves when it comes to policies and procedures. Well, do they really know all 500? And those are changing each and every month. Each one's getting updated and a new version's being pushed out. Are they really? Is even your A+ star player, are they really keeping up to date on 500 different policies? Probably not. They've learned their way. They know how to do things. They reference it every once in a while when they have a question, but they're probably not going to be an expert on each and every policy. And so with Xero, well, first of all, they put in place a portal where people can get to the policies. That's helpful. But they also added a Xero Copilot on top of it, an AI chatbot that now lets the branch employee ask a AI chatbot a question. The chatbot has access to all the content of the intranet and get an answer back. Well, not just here's how you do it, but here's how you do it, and here's a link to the full policy, the source of truth if you need to learn more. And so it's like every branch now has that Ask Jeeves employee sitting there waiting for someone to ask them a question, tap them on the shoulder. But it can do it. They can do it at scale. They can manage the quality of those responses and improve them over time. So that's just an example of how a tool like Xero or any intranet software out there can help not only speed up the time it takes to find the information, but also improve the quality of the information itself, the quality of the answers that the employee is walking away with. So hopefully improving compliance and effectiveness there too. The second use case here, so employee engagement and collaboration. So 51% of employees are disengaged in their current workplace. You can find all sorts of metrics out there, but I would say generally speaking, people are not. It's not hard to believe that there are opportunities to improve engagement with employees and productivity, and just how well aligned those employees are with the organization's strategy mission. We have a customer here, one of my favorite stories. They are highly acquisitive, so they're constantly buying other companies and integrating those employees into their business. And you ask them, hey, what's the biggest value that your intranet provides? And they say, oh, it really helps. It really enables us to go and do that M&A. On day one, 1,000 new employees come into the intranet. Immediately, they can pick up on the culture. They get access to the knowledge. They get access to the other employees, and they can look people up based on their expertise and ask them questions. And without that, or you have siloed intranets, every company, every brand they acquire had their own intranet, they wouldn't have this engagement, this collaboration. And so, like I said, I think this is a softer metric. We have ways we can help you estimate what the potential value is here, but it's not like knowledge management where we can get down to, hey, minutes saved, how do we track this? How do we come back to this a year later and show that we did it? Most of this is going to be survey data, right? Hey, how engaged are you today? How likely are you, employee NPS, how likely are you to recommend, Acme Inc. as a place to work? How well aligned do you feel with company initiatives and strategy? How would you describe morale at the company? If you can ask those questions before the intranet implementation, it's a gold mine for a year later coming back to you and saying, well, look, 51% of employees were disengaged at our company a year ago. Of course, we made a lot of changes, not just the intranet, but a year later, we've gotten that number down to 31%, and that's improved retention. And that's improved our ability to recruit and to hire great talent. So there's a few jumps you have to make there to say, well, the intranet caused that. Intranet proves retention. Great intranets improve retention. Do I believe that? I do believe that. I just think it's incredibly difficult to show. And a CFO who likes to see the numbers and likes to be able to calculate things and not have to make too many assumptions will probably find it easier to believe the knowledge management use case than the employee engagement use case. I don't think there's any less value in employee engagement. I just think it's harder to show. So if you're building a business case, I think try and find a way to make knowledge management a core part of why you're making the investment, because the others are a little bit softer in terms of their ROI. And then, so the third one here, internal communication, I think this suffers from the same, the same hurdles that employee engagement suffers from. But oftentimes this starts with a CEO level or a C-suite level initiative. Someone sitting in a meeting somewhere, and a CEO or a CHRO or a COO says something like, I just don't feel like I have a way to communicate out to all of our employees or to target communications to specific groups of employees that I want to reach. And so to me, this is more of a 0 or a 1. Either you have a way to do that today and it's effective, or you don't. And if you don't, well, then it's easy to build a business case for, hey, remember when we were sitting in that meeting and you said you needed a way to, target communications to groups of employees. Well, here's the Xero platform, or here's another platform that I think is going to help us do that. If you already have it in another platform, I think there's less ROI in doing it on the intranet. Yeah, I think it's going to be nice to make the intranet a single source of truth, where not only can people come there for their knowledge management, to collaborate with other employees, and to get their news and company information, but if they're already getting their company information and news elsewhere, there's not much additional value in doing it all in one place. The value driver, I think, here can be, are there tools you're using today to fill the gap that you will no longer need if you have a great intranet. So if you have a email newsletter tool, for example, or you're spending on some fancy add-ons to Slack or Teams or whatever it might be, do you have a disaster communication tool that sends out SMS, text messages in the event of an emergency? Well, if you can do all those things on the internet, and with Xero you can, email newsletters, SMS integration, there may be opportunities to consolidate tools that you have put in place elsewhere, and that then becomes a part of the ROI story for the intranet investment as well. So that's how I would build a business case if I were launching an intranet today. I'd start with knowledge management. I'd make sure that alone were sufficient to justify the cost that I was, the investment we were looking for. I'd layer in the employee engagement, collaboration, and internal communication pieces, but I would focus on, are there tools that we are consolidating away from that we will no longer need, and are there surveys we can launch today so that a year from now, 3 years from now, when we launch them again, we'll be able to, really point to and show the improvement that the intranet was a part of, and hopefully a big part of. And then just wrapping a little bit on, what makes Xero special. There's a lot of great tools out there for intranet software. It's a very broad term. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Of course, we encourage you to check out Xero. Here's what I think really sets us apart from other solutions in the marketplace. One is the flexibility and the customizability of the platform. We are not one of those simple out-of-the-box platforms where you get what you get and you don't get upset. We are very, very flexible, and to the point where you can really deconstruct and rebuild whatever you'd like. And oftentimes what that means is you're integrating in data from other sources, not just connecting in your HR tool, but you might be pulling in data, dashboards, content from other sources, and building a single pane of glass where a few different platforms come together. We have one of the most robust REST APIs in the business, over 500 REST API endpoints. So if you're comparing intranet softwares out there, do take a look at what they offer via REST API. It's a good indication of the extensibility and the flexibility you'll have with the platform. And then, we've really focused on enterprise use cases. If you're sort of, less than 50 or 100 users, there are probably simpler, more out-of-the-box solutions that would be a better fit for you than Xero. But if you're 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 employees, 100,000 employees, we are one of the only solutions out there that really does scale up and make sense for that size organization. So check us out if these sound like things that could be a good fit for what you're looking for.
Thank you very much, Adam. I guess I suggest leaving your questions and comments in LinkedIn where you are watching the stream, and just let us know if you have any thoughts. We'll update you on the recording and with our gifts. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Anna and Adam. It was very insightful. I liked it a lot. So I guess have a great day, everyone, and